Welcome to Newsline Live, and you are watching On Point with me. In this edition, we will talk about the Bangladesh turmoil. Has Bangladesh violence weakened Sheikh Hasina's position in Bangladesh? We will come to it later. Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina blamed her political opponents for deadly violence that swept the country during recent student-led protests against quotas in government jobs, stating on Monday that a curfew would be lifted when the situation improved. Hasina blamed the main opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party and Jamaat-e-Islami and its student wing for the violence that started last week.
এখানে সবচেয়ে সেন্সিটিভ হচ্ছে ছাত্র ওখানে বসা। আমি জানি না ছাত্রদের সাথে আরও কারা ছিল, তাদের কোনো ক্ষতি না হয় সেদিকে আমাদের দৃষ্টি দিতে হয়েছে। আমরা পুলিশ, আমাদের লোকবল সব কিছু দিয়ে চেষ্টা করেছি। যেদিন ছাত্ররা এই অগ্নিসন্ত্রাস যখন শুরু হলো, জ্বালাও পড়া শুরু হলো, তারা আন্দোলনকারীদের কাছ থেকে তারা বলল যে এর সঙ্গে আমরা জড়িত না, আর এটাকে আমরা কন্ডেম করি, এটা আমরা চাই না। তারা যখন সরে এসেছে, আমি সেই সময় আমরা আর্মি নামিয়েছি। আমি কিন্তু তার আগে আর্মি নামাইনি। আমাদের অনেকেই বলতে চেষ্টা করে ছাত্রদের বিরুদ্ধে আর্মি নামানো। আমি রাজনীতি করে, ছাত্র রাজনীতি করে এসেছি। ওই ঢাকা ইউনিভার্সিটি থেকে শুরু করে ওই সেনাবাহিনী যে কী করতে পারে আমার জানা আছে। আপনারা জানেন যে কটা ঘটনা, যতগুলি খুন খারাপি এই শিবির, বিএনপি, জামাত এরা একসাথে করেছে। আজকে কারফিউ দিতে আমরা বাধ্য হয়েছি মানুষের জানমাল রক্ষা করার জন্য। আমি তো কখনো এটা চাইনি, কারণ আমি যখন 81 সালে দেশে ফিরে আসি, প্রতি রাতে কারফিউ ছিল। জিয়াউর রহমান যতদিন দেশ চালিয়েছে রোজই কারফিউ। আমরা শুনতাম 10টার মধ্যে তাড়াতাড়ি ফিরতে হবে, কারণ রাতে কারফিউ। সেই কথাটা অনেকের হয়তো মনে নাই, আবার অনেকে ইয়াংদের জেনারেশন তারা জানেও না। বিএনপি সম্পূর্ণ মদত দিচ্ছে। আমার প্রশ্ন, এরাই যে এত কিছু করছে, অর্থ সরবরাহ কারা করছে সেটা আপনারা খোঁজ নেন, যে অর্থগুলি কোথা থেকে আসছে আপনারা সেটাও খবর নেবেন। আমি আপনাদের কাছে অনুরোধ, এবং আমরা চাই যত দ্রুত সম্ভব এই অবস্থা পরিবর্তন হবে। অনেকটা আমরা শান্ত করে নিয়ে আসতে পেরেছি, অনেকটা আমরা এটাকে মানে বলতে পারি যে অবস্থা ছিল তাতে আস্তে আস্তে এখন ভালো হবে। কারফিউ আমরা কিছু শিথিল করেছি আজকে, এখন আপনাদেরও তাড়াতাড়ি ছেড়ে দেবো। যখনই সিচুয়েশন ভালো হবে সময় বুঝে বুঝে আমরা দেবো। জেলাগুলিতে আমরা বলেছি যেসব জেলা এখন তারা কোনো গোলমাল করতে পারছে না, সেই জেলাগুলি এখানে ডিসি এবং আইনশৃঙ্খলা রক্ষাকারী সংস্থা এবং সশস্ত্র বাহিনী তারা বলে বসে ঠিক করে কোথায় কত ঘন্টা কারফিউ থাকবে, কোথায় থাকবে না, সেই অধিকারটা তাদেরকে দিয়ে দিয়েছি। আর ঢাকায় আমরা সেই ব্যবস্থাই দিচ্ছি, যতটুকু ভালো হবে আস্তে আস্তে সেটাও শিথিল হয়ে যাবে। অনেকেই শাস্তি দেওয়া হয়েছে, একবার জানি, কিন্তু শাস্তি দিয়েছি আবার জেল থেকে তারা ওই একই চেহারা। তবে এবার অত সহজে ছাড়া হবে না। এই ধ্বংসযজ্ঞ চালিয়ে দেশকে নষ্ট করবে, আর অনবরত বিদেশে আজে বাজে রিপোর্ট দিয়ে যাচ্ছে। আর কেউ যদি মনে করেন যে হ্যাঁ আপনি আপনার কারখানা রক্ষা করতে পারবেন, সেই শক্তি আছে, এটা আপনারা খুলে ফেলতে পারেন, আমাদের কোনো আপত্তি নেই। কিন্তু যদি কোনো দুর্ঘটনা ঘটে তার দায় দায়িত্ব কিন্তু আমাদের দিতে পারবেন না, আপনাদের নিজ দায়িত্বে করতে হবে। তার কারণ আমি যখনই খবর পেয়েছি ওরা যাচ্ছে, আমি সাথে সাথে কারখানা বন্ধ করে শ্রমিকরা নিরাপদে যে চলে যায়, আমি সেই ব্যবস্থা নিয়েছি আপনাদেরই স্বার্থে। ইন্টেলিজেন্সের খবর আছে বলে এটা করতে পেরেছি, গোয়েন্দা সংস্থা সময় সময় খবর দিয়েছে বলে এটা সাথে সাথে ব্যবস্থা নিতে পেরেছি, সেটাও মাথায় রাখবেন। জামাত শিবির তো জঙ্গি দল, কাজে এই জঙ্গিদেরই তো আক্রমণ। নইলে গলা কেটে একটা সাধারণ কর্মী ভোট দিত সবসময় আমাদের, তাকে গলা কেটে ঢাকা কলেজ ওখানে ফেলে রেখে দিল। গলা কাটে কে? হাত কেটে দিয়েছে, পা কেটে দিয়েছে, ছাদের থেকে ছাত্রলীগের কর্মীদের ফেলে দিয়ে মেরেছে। এই সমস্ত নৃশংসতা কে করে? কাজে এই শিবির হচ্ছে সম্পূর্ণ জঙ্গি, জামাতও জঙ্গি, আর বিএনপি আজকে তাদেরও চেহারাটা বেরিয়ে গেছে। এখনও ধরেনি, এখনও হুকুম দেয় চালিয়ে যাও আন্দোলন, মানে আপনাদের এই জ্বালাও পোড়াও চালানোর হুকুমও দিয়ে যাচ্ছে।
174 people have been killed in the violence, including several police officers, and around 2,500 people have been arrested. The Supreme Court of Bangladesh scrapped the 30% quota for freedom fighters' families on Sunday, after which the protesters suspended their agitation for 48 hours. The protesters gave the government next 2 days to meet 8 demands, which include a public apology from Hasina and the reopening of the university campuses that were shut when the violence began. The Bangladesh government is all set to formally accept the court ruling on Tuesday, meeting a key demand of the student protesters. Calm prevailed in the capital Dhaka, but major cities saw curfew and internet and telecom shut down. Government plans to relax the curfew for 4 hours in the afternoon to allow public to buy essentials. However, the security situation is still not entirely under control and the military continues to patrol the streets. There was a heavy military presence in the capital on Tuesday, with bunkers set up at some intersection and key roads blocked with barbed wire. Now let's listen in to students and voices from the ground.
গাড়ি পাওয়া যায় না, বাস এগুলা পাওয়া যায় না। এখন সামনে যাব, গিয়ে গাড়ি ধরবো আর কি।
আগে হচ্ছে শিক্ষার্থীরা রাজপথে মিছিলে নেমেছিল। বিভিন্ন অনেক শিক্ষার্থী 115 জনের মতো শিক্ষার্থী মারা গিয়েছে। বিভিন্ন রাজপথে যাওয়া যাচ্ছিল না, বিভিন্ন গাড়ি যানবাহন পুড়িয়ে দেওয়া হয়েছিল। কিন্তু তারপরে যখন শিক্ষার্থীরা তাদের রায় চাচ্ছিল, পরে গতকাল কোর্ট একটি রায় দিয়েছে। এরপরে শিক্ষার্থীরা অনেকটাই আশাবাদী, কিন্তু তাদের এখনো সম্পূর্ণ দাবি মেনে নেওয়া হয়নি। তাদের 8টি দাবির মধ্যে একটি দাবি মেনে নেওয়া হয়েছে। শিক্ষার্থীরা বলেছে যে আমরা তাও আন্দোলন আমাদের চলবে, কিন্তু তারা রাজপথে থাকবে না।
হ্যাঁ, দেশ আমাদের এখন স্বাভাবিকের দিকে যাচ্ছে, কারণ সরকার আমাদের দাবিও মেনে নিয়েছে। আমাদের সব ঠিকঠাক হতে যাচ্ছে।
রাস্তাঘাটে আপনি কি দেখলেন?
রাস্তাঘাটে আমি ইন্ডিয়াতে এসেছিলাম ট্রিটমেন্টের জন্য, এখন ব্যাক করছি ইন্ডিয়া থেকে। তো বিএসএফ স্যাররা আমাদের অনেক হেল্প করছে, আমরা কোনো হ্যারাসমেন্টের শিকারও হচ্ছি না, খুব ভালোভাবে পার হতে পারছি এখান থেকে। আর যতটুকু শুনেছি, বাংলাদেশে আমার বাবা আছে ওপারে, বাংলাদেশে এখন মোটামুটি ঠিকঠাক বলা যায়, আস্তে আস্তে ঠিকঠাক হয়ে যাবে।
বিএসএফ সহ ভারত সরকার আপনাদের কতটা সহযোগিতা করছে?
ভারত সরকার আমাদের আসা যাওয়াতে যথেষ্ট সুযোগ সুবিধা দিচ্ছে। আমরা কোনো হ্যারাসমেন্টের শিকার হই না বা কোনো স্ক্যামের শিকার হই না, আমরা ঠিকঠাক মতো আসতে পারছি, যেতে পারছি এবং ভারতে ভালো একটা ট্রিটমেন্ট পাচ্ছি।
The protest came in the midst of a shaky economic backdrop. While Bangladesh economy has grown since 2009 during Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's 4 terms, it faces major challenges including inflation and high youth unemployment. The protest, which began as a student outrage, also took a political turn as it galvanized into a larger anti-government protest. Now, the larger issue is it going to handicap the ruling party? Has it created a space for Khaleda Zia, whose party did not contest the elections? On this issue, I am joined by Ambassador Veena Sikri, former High Commissioner of India to Bangladesh, and Professor Sanjay Bharadwaj, Center for South Asian Studies, School of International Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University. I'll first of all straight away go to Ambassador Sikri. Madam, do you think that it has created a political space for Khaleda Zia to come back?
Well, Khaleda Zia, the party BNP, did not participate in the elections at their own volition. It was their decision not to participate in the election. To try and create a space through mayhem on the streets is neither a correct nor an acceptable procedure. I think Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is quite correct in what she said in her statement to the civil society and the business leaders when she said that the terrorism is being caused by the opposition political parties, because the students, as you heard from their statements, they are quite happy with the Supreme Court verdict. First of all, it is Sheikh Hasina herself who removed the quota for the students. Since 2018, there has been no quota for the students at all for the last 6 years. It's only the High Court decision of last month which restored the students' quota and nullified the Prime Minister's decision on that. So I think that it's very clear that it's not Sheikh Hasina who's against the students, and they have accepted that. And the Supreme Court was actually, the government went in appeal to the Supreme Court. court to restore the cancellation. And that hearing, which was to be on the 7th of August, was preponed to the 21st of July. And after that decision, the students are completely calm. They have demands, and they have said they're going to continue to talk to the government about the demands, but they're saying we're not going to go and protest again. And we do know that the coordinators among the students are speaking to the government and talking to them and seeing which of their demands can be accepted. So I think here we have the students who are quite satisfied, but we have political parties who are being incited to unrest. We know there are all kinds of messages coming from abroad. Some of the leaders of the BNP are sitting in London and they are inciting them to protest. So I hope that all the situation in Bangladesh returns to normal, the factories open again, the schools and universities open again, and economic progress can resume.
Okay. Okay. Let me join Professor Bharadwaj. Professor Bharadwaj, I'll just quote Sheikh Hasina verbatim. She said, "I deployed the army. I did not do it before that, before the student pulled off from the, basically saying that she was compelled. Many want to tell me about deploying the army against the students. I was involved in the student politics. I know what the army could do. Shibir, student wing of Jamaat-e-Islami, BNP and Jamaat are behind all the incidents of vandalism, murders. Today I was forced to impose a curfew." A very scathing but a bitter response from Sheikh Hasina on this.
No, I think we have to look entire issue in perspective. What is the perspective that over the years, you can say since 2006 and this is 2024, that the opposition political forces, they lost their ground, they lost their supports at the ground level. And because of their policies, their activities, what they did from 2001 to 2006, while the BNP led alliances were in power, it was supported by Jamaat-e-Islam, Islamic Quotas, and all the political parties, and the way they have promoted terrorism, extremism in Bangladesh, and undemocratic activities in the country. But what the ruling party, they have performed very well on economic front, and you have seen that in 2014 election, in 2018 election, and in 2024 election, that the opposition political parties, they did not have any issue against the ruling political force, except saying that there is alleged undemocratic practice and all that. This is the first time they are trying to make a social issue, the issue that is related to the reservation quota system. They are making unemployment, they are making the issue of inflation and all these issues. The first time that opposition political parties, they are trying to find some ground which the political party is run from their chairperson being sitting in London, and he doesn't have any grassroots support. The leaders are also very frustrated from the opposition political leaders, because he's making a number of interventions sitting in London. So now they got the opportunity to instigate the students and protest. Though I would say that yes, the government has to address the issue of unemployment, the government has to address the issue of inflation, the government has to address the concerns of the students, because the merit, finally that merit matters for the country's development. Though, but the problem is now this maybe this would be a mishandling from the government, but that should not turn into the violent conflict, because Bangladesh has a history of violence. It was in 1952. We have seen that when the students were protesting for Bengali language in 1960, 1971, they have sacrificed their lives.
I'll come to that. I think you made a point. I'll come to that. Let me go across to Ambassador Sikri. Madam, there's another portion from the bite which she has given, and there are number of things she has spoken. We all recall the sort of a hastily called off trip she had to Beijing, and the money which was promised was not delivered. So she says, my question is, they are doing so many things, who is patronizing them? Why don't you find out who is providing them with the financial help? So yes, Sheikh Hasina failed to anticipate the street, but she is also blaming someone for patronizing Khaleda Zia BNP. What's your guess, madam?
Oh, definitely. I can point to Pakistan, number one, because they have always been almost the patrons of the BNP. They've been very close to the BNP leaders, and it is being said and known, well known, that Tariq Rahman, the son of Khaleda Zia, who's living in London, is being patronized there too by the same forces. So definitely there would be, I would mention Pakistan. Now, whether China was annoyed because, you know, the way Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina left China a day early, and for the Chinese this would have been, you know, they would have not taken this very well. So whether they would have, you know, turned a blind eye to what Pakistan is doing or surreptitiously supporting them, that's another matter. But certainly you do have a ready-made source of support for the opposition, both for BNP and for Jamaat-e-Islami, and Shibir is the students' wing of Jamaat-e-Islami. You have this support in Pakistan. They've been very active with them. So I think that, and they're looking for an opportunity. They're trying to create a movement that will bring them back to power, the BNP and Jamaat, and take Sheikh Hasina from power. So we must really laud Sheikh Hasina because she has managed this crisis again very well. She has taken the people on her side. The students are on her side because they know that she's supporting the scrapping of the quotas. She has spoken to the civil society and the corporate leaders and explained to them the situation and said, I'm willing to open your factories. You can open them straight away if you think you have the potential to prevent violence or anybody trying to prevent your factories from reopening. She has been in touch, of course, with the army leaders because they obviously trust her and they're supporting her because they have you know, been on the streets, but they're prepared to go back to their barracks now. So she has got on board with her all the different parts of society. And certainly it is very clear from what the students are saying that the student leaders that you spoke to, we saw the sound bites, they are not wanting any more protests. They said, yes, we accept the Supreme Court's decision. We welcome that. We will not do any more protests. We will try and negotiate with the government regarding our demands. So I think the manner in which all parts of society are readily coming to her side is a very strong indicator that she has brought stability, development and economic growth to Bangladesh, and all groups of society are beholden to her for that. They want that to continue. They don't want a movement which topples the government and brings more instability.
So my question to you, madam, is, and then I'll go to Professor Bharadwaj. You know, Ziaur Rahman and Ziaul Haq, both in 80s, took an Islamic turn in their respective countries. Now, Pakistan could never come back from there. The Islamization which the army underwent, for example, the latest army chief is a product of that process, and the sort of the way the DNA of the Pakistani society changed. Do you think that Sheikh Hasina has been able to change that bit which Ziaur Rahman tried to do that in 1980s, in the sense that there is no institutional presence of Islamists in various organs of the government of Bangladesh?
You know, I must say that the forces of radicalization are very strong, even in Bangladesh, because there is constant pressure from Pakistan, from other countries of the Middle East and the Gulf, constant pressure on this front. And there is a response because all the people who go for the Hajj, they see that and they come back and there's a huge focus on madrasa education. And but Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has been very clear on terrorism. She's been strongly against terrorism. She has reintroduced the word secularism in the constitution, which is a big thing, but she has always had to compromise with some of the fundamentalist groups as well. So she is doing this balancing. She has, for example, agreed to accept the degrees of the madrasa system of education on par with some of the secular system of education. So some of these decisions she has been forced to take. And with that, we do see a very strong force of religion within Bangladesh. But at the same time, I must say that Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is very clear that she will not allow any violence, she will not allow any terrorism, she will not allow any fundamentalism, she will allow people to practice their religion. So it is a tightrope walk for her. The forces of radicalization and fundamentalism are there. We saw even when our Prime Minister was there in 2021 for the 50th anniversary of the Liberation War. There were people there from the Jamaat who were, you know, violence in Comilla, not in Dhaka, outside Dhaka in Comilla. It was there. So they were expressing themselves. Of course, it was controlled by the government very quickly, thanks to the army and bodyguards Bangladesh. But we have to recognize that it's there, and we have to constantly work together with the youth of Bangladesh, with the young people, with the economic growth forces, the companies, the corporate leaders, the civil society leaders, and talk to them and engage with them on as one secular country to another. So this is a task that we have to engage with. The youth plays a very big role in this, but I think the university students are interested in a better life for themselves. They're interested in a good education and a better life. We know that Bangladeshis who go abroad and work in different parts of the world are well known for their entrepreneurial skills, for their skills in IT and other areas. So it is an important factor, but we have to recognize that radicalization is there. The forces are there. The fundamentalist forces are there.
You are absolutely right. The fact that the political protest actually, Professor Bharadwaj acquired a religious idiom when they started shouting Razakar, Razakar, also is very symbolic of the fact that how a political protest can slip into a religious direction or acquire a religious idiom for mobilization.
No, I tell you, if you will see the history of Bangladesh, that it is the society and polity is vertically divided into two forces. One, of course, represents the forces of 1947, who believes in Islamic nationalism, and another who believes in the spirit of 1971, who believes in Bengali secular cultural nationalism. And this polarization is reflected throughout the history till date. You can say when the Rajakars, who were the Rajakars? Rajakars who collaborated with the Pakistani army. These are the Islamic Ladakas, I can say, the fighters who supported and who killed innocent Bengali people in 1971, who were demanding for their right to freedom, their right to equality. They were talking about the Bengali cultural rights, Bengali language, and all that. So you can see, and the second thing, that these forces of 1947, they have been represented and they have been continued in Bangladesh politics when there were coup against Mujibur Rahman in 1975, and he was killed. And that the Ziaur Rahman has become the Chief Marshal of Law Administration. He floated the politics of Islamic nationalism and supported by Pakistan, and then at that time it was also supported by the United States and China. But the things had changed, and this politics of and he has created the political party, but Bangladesh Nationalist Party, whose social constituency is today the army. Who has
Professor, should India be worried?
Doing the politics of
should
Islamic
India be worried?
Sorry.
Should India be worried with these developments?
No. Of course, India, because that if you will see that the geography of Bangladesh, we have complex interdependency. It is basically the Bangladesh is India along three sides. So of course, any developments, any political instability, any extremism, fundamentalism take place in Bangladesh. If they are having the nexus with the ISI or Al Qaeda or Huzibi or any extremist groups, or anything happens in Bangladesh, of course it has a spillover impact on India's neighboring states, either in Bengal or Assam or all these states. So India is of course looking forward economic development. India is looking forward political stability in Bangladesh. So any developments that whatever takes place in Bangladesh has implications for India. So India is always supporting the democratic secular forces, progressive forces in Bangladesh, and so that is represented by the Sheikh Hasina Awami League.
But I think India has got to worry about. But Mr. Bharadwaj, thank you so much for joining me. Ambassador Sikri, thank you so much for joining me. But I think the challenges which are there for India are bigger, for the fact that there is a civil war taking place in Myanmar. There is a huge protest which has taken place in Bangladesh. We have an unfriendly government in Maldives. We had an enemy government in Pakistan. There is a state of war between India and China. So Bangladesh is a reminder that we live in unsettled times, unsettled borders, and settled issues which range from 1947 also. Unfinished projects of partition. And Bangladesh is one such example of it.
Hey, careful, huh? My daddy got it from abroad. Hey, disaster! How will you pay